Sometimes love isn't enough. As an adoptive mom, people would often say this to me, as if to imply I couldn't love my son enough to change behaviors or heal his trauma, so I should probably just give up. At least that's how I took those four powerful words, which had buried themselves deeply in my mind, leading me to doubt my ability to parent my child. Sometimes love isn't enough. That is the truth. Oftentimes, you need love and powerful, personalized tools to raise a child who's experienced trauma and disrupted attachment, or a child who you're struggling to connect with. I am on a mission to help parents raising kids with a tricky past to show up with unconditional love and practical tools to lovingly manage even the most challenging of times. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Plus, if you like what you hear, I'd love for you to leave a review. Now let's get to the good stuff. Welcome back to Sometimes Love Isn't Enough. I am your host, Angie Grandt, and in this episode, I want to talk about some of the not so great feelings that oftentimes can come along as we are raising our kids who come from a disrupted placement. So, as a foster parent, an adoptive parent, we're raising kids from disrupted placement. That is the reality, right? Our kids were raised in a different womb, different homes sometimes. Sometimes our kids have even been through multiple homes before they come to us. And research tells us that when children have disruptions to their placement, it most often creates disruptions to their ability to attach, to build strong bonds. During those first 2 years of life, we know that our kids need to have a close and trusted adult who is consistently showing up for them in a reliable way, is meeting their needs. So when we think about a baby, a brand new baby, during that first year of life in particular, when our babies cry, they are biologically designed to have their cries responded to. The baby's cry is specifically designed to call a caregiver to attend to their basic needs. Either they're hungry, they're soiled, they're tired, or they are not feeling well, or, they're uncomfortable in some way. When a baby cries and their needs are met, all is well, they stop crying most of the time, unless we're dealing with colic, which is a whole separate thing. But in talking about kids with disrupted attachment, oftentimes that trusted caregiver, if our children experience any type of neglect, or sometimes even in medical situations where maybe our babies have been in the NICU, and I know that I trust that the NICU staff are responsive, but nonetheless, when our kids' needs aren't being met, and sometimes those needs are that skin to skin contact with a caregiver, right? There's a lot of research behind that as well now. During those first 2 years in particular, I know I've kind of gone back and forth. During that first year, it's all about the crying, right? Our babies cry to get their needs met. After that first year, there are other ways that our kids learn to communicate how to get their needs met. And when their needs are not met reliably, or when, even in the best of scenarios, when children are placed in a new home, there's not that energetic emotional connection oftentimes right away with a new caregiver, because the baby's a stranger, the adult is a stranger. There's just a lot going on there that can make that connection hard. I also know, as a parent who has been through that, those early stages of having children placed in my home, I know that it can be really hard for us as parents to connect with our kids, because we as humans put up a little bit of a wall And some of us, it's even in our design to build a wall to protect our heart from being heartbroken, right? When we become foster parents or adoptive parents, it oftentimes can come with a little bit of fear of, yes, I want to love this child, but what if placement changes? What if I fall in love with this child and the courts or the state or somebody decides that the child is going to a different placement or going, back to their family of origin? So there's a little bit of fear, and many parents have acknowledged that putting up a little bit of a wall around our heart protects our heart. We don't want to do it. We want to fully love our kids, but we're human. And so when we think about just that, right, that initial stage of trying to connect with our kids, trying to um, build a bond with our kids right from the get-go, it can be really hard. So we bring these kids into our home and we try our very best to show up for them. And again, some of us are designed to not put up walls. Some of us are designed to have fully open hearts to let all of the kids in and love them fully, no matter how long they stay with us. And some of us have different designs. Some of us are designed to be a little bit more protective of our own hearts, protective of our own connections. And if we go into foster adoptive parenting not knowing this, well, then it can be quite the shock when we think that we're fully loving our kids, but when they respond in a certain way, it's real clear that we've put a wall up because we don't want to get hurt. Or when we sense that something might change with placement, it becomes really clear that we've put a little bit of a wall up to, again, protect our own hearts. But so back to our kids and talking about our kids and what happens on their end of this relationship, right? We have our kids in our home who in many, well, like I said, if they're in a foster placement, if they're in your home as an adoptee, other than circumstances where perhaps a step parent adopts, right? Um, or other circumstances where the child was born in your home, one parent has been there the entire time. Those are different circumstances. There hasn't been a change in placement, but most often there has. We know, research tells us that that has a profound impact on our child's ability to connect. And when our child has difficulties with connecting with others, what we tend to see as parents is a child whose behavior pushes us away. We tend to see a child who will engage in behaviors that are um, uh, will split parents apart. So perhaps like a child who just naturally will seek out different opinions from different parents or will engage in behaviors that end up creating fights between parents. And again, I'm not accusing kids of creating fights between parents, but our kids who have experienced disrupted attachments oftentimes can really become very skilled at learning how to read people and learning how to um, set up disagreements between parents because when the parents are fighting, then they're not putting so much focus on connecting with the kiddo, which can then feel safer for a kiddo who is fearful of a disrupted attachment again. When our kids are going through these big feelings and feeling this fear of fear of abandonment, fear of not feeling lovable, fear of having a disrupted placement again, as parents, it's so common for us to hear things that are hard to hear. Hear things like, "You're not my mom or dad. I hate you. Just take me back to foster care or the adoption agency, or or um, find me a foster family. These are things that I commonly hear from other foster and adoptive parents. We also often hear our kids saying, I just want a new family, or our kids will, if there are racial differences between us and our kids will very often say that they want a family that matches their skin color or um, their culture, their um, genetic makeup, right? As parents, we try so hard to show up for our kids with unconditional love. We try so hard to understand that these words and these behaviors come from our kids have been through some tricky stuff. We try to understand that at a cognitive level. Our mind understands, right? We've gone through all the trainings. We understand the concepts of what our kids have been through. But at the end of the day, it can become really hard for us as parents. We might develop thick skin or, again, put up walls around our heart to try and protect ourselves from being hurt over and over again. It's incredibly hard to hear our kids say repeatedly that they don't love us, that they don't want to be part of our family, even though we know where that comes from. When we know that our kids' behaviors come from trauma, come from disrupted attachment, but those words nonetheless are breaking down our capacity to show up for our kids with unconditional love. How do we fix that? I know from my personal experiences from connecting with other parents that when we experience these things time and time again, we as parents end up in this loop of feeling like we ourselves are in this kind of never-ending cycle or loop of adrenaline and feeling like we become fearful ourselves. We create a fear response in our own bodies that sets us up to not understand how to show up differently for our kids because we're stuck in our own loop of our own fear of abandonment, our own fear of what if this doesn't work out, our own questioning ourselves. I know I've heard so many parents now say, what happens if I can't do this anymore? What happens if I'm not cut out to be an adoptive parent? What happens if the state has to step in and placement is changed in my home? What happens if I can't love my child enough to change this behavior? I know that those questions are so incredibly hard to ask ourselves. And I also know that they're so, so common. You're not alone. You're not the only one feeling this if these questions are resonating with you. So I want to talk about a couple of things that you can do to start to shift this around. Because when I was in the thick of it, the only I could only see one path. When I started asking myself those questions that I just asked you, when I started questioning whether or not I was capable, when I started questioning whether or not I had what it took to stick through the hard times, because man, oh man, they got hard in my house. They got scary and they got hard. And I wasn't convinced that I had the capacity to stick with it if it got any harder. So, the first thing that I want to suggest to you is to take a deep breath and to tell yourself that in order to change the trajectory of your relationship with your child, it has to start with you. I imagine that you are focused so much on trying to change or stop your child's behaviors. Because when they get this tricky, when your child is saying words like, I hate you, take me back, you're not my mom, and you're hearing this on a regular basis, my guess is that there are also some scary, tricky, unsettling behaviors that are coming along with it. Chances are it isn't just the words, and there's so much more to it. And if that's what's happening in your home, then there's a really good chance that you're putting all of your energy and focus on fixing or stopping those behaviors because they're scary, they're unsettling, they're right in your face, literally, figuratively, all of the things. So I want to give you the permission to take a deep breath and let's talk about you because I really want you to listen back to this episode and really listen to some of the words that I use. But when you are feeling not capable, when you're feeling like you don't have the capacity to give the love that your child needs, when you are feeling just at the end of your rope and you are questioning your ability to show up for your child, then that should be your first signal, a very loud signal that says we have to work on rebuilding your sense of self-worth, your sense of capability, your sense of self-love so that you can show up for your kiddo. Because when your cup is empty and you are trying so hard to help your child, you're probably convincing yourself that it's coming from a place of love. And I want to help my child, help resolve their behaviors, help resolve their pain so that they can be a functioning member of society. It may feel to you like you're giving all of your energy to your child. Well, you are giving all of your energy to your child, likely. Um, but it probably feels to you like you're doing everything you need to do for your child. But I'm here to tell you that you can't possibly show up for your child the way that you need to when your cup is empty. And there's some really key things that we know are required to show up for your kiddo. You have to feel capable. You have to feel like you are valuable. You have to be able to trust in yourself in order to show up for your child. And when you are feeling incapable, you feel like you may not have the ability, you don't trust yourself enough to do what it takes for your child, and you feel like you've expended all of your energy, then that's where we have to start. There are some really key things in your chart that are key indicators about those exact things. And if you listen to the episode about resiliency, I'm going to break these down a little bit deeper, but your resiliency is key to showing up for your kids. So I want you to, again, if this is a place that you're in, I want you to really take a deep breath and to really acknowledge that you have to start with you. Because until you believe me that in order to show up for your kids, you have to take care of you first, you are going to keep fighting to keep your head above water because you don't have a life jacket to float on. You're going to keep struggling to, and you're going to keep expending all of your energy trying to help your kiddo who might also be drowning, but you don't have a life jacket yourself. So, so for the first step, actually, again, like I said, take a deep breath and really acknowledge that it isn't about self-care per se. It is, but the self-care that you need is very specific to where you're struggling and your design. So so going to the spa, getting your nails done, having a weekend retreat, those things are lovely, but they might not be actually what you specifically need to refill your cup, to tap into your resiliency. So, what the reason that I'm saying all of this is that I'm in the process of getting certified to help parents exactly with this. I'm getting certified in a process to help parents to not only will I be getting certified to help assess exactly where parents are, what is what you specifically need to tap into, then also how to do it. And I'm getting certified in some really just um, fascinating and powerful tools like no other to tap into the 9 resiliency keys in a way that is quick and effective, powerful. So, so I'm actually going to leave you with that is that I know I can help you. I have already learned so much and I've seen such powerful results with the families that I've served. And I am just so excited about what I'm learning because I know that when you are a parent who wants to love your child, you want to show up for them with unconditional love, but your resources are totally tapped out. You can't do it. And you can go to all the therapy you want. And you can try so hard to get your child into every program to fix them. But if at the core of it all is a parent who is trying to help from an empty cup, you're going to keep expending energy that you don't even have to try and fix your kiddo who really just needs you to show up as you, who really just needs you to show up with a full cup so that you can show up for them. They don't need you to fix their problems. They need you to fill your cup so that you can show up for them because you are what they need. They need you to connect with them in a powerful way that you can't do with an empty cup. So I'm going to leave you with that. Take a deep breath, really evaluate your your sense of are you capable currently in your current situation of doing what your kid needs you to do? Are you trusting in yourself that you're capable of doing it? Do you have the energy and the resources you need to do it? Because if you don't, then please book a call. I know I can help you in such a powerful way, in a way that is so different than everything you've tried before. So I didn't really intend for this to be a book a call with me, but I just feel so compelled that I know I can help you and you don't have to be in the place that you're at right now. So, anyways, I'm going to leave it with that. And yeah, and also be sure to listen to the episode about resiliency because I think that that will give you some really powerful insights as well. So that's it. We will talk soon. I hope that you found this episode so incredibly powerful. Thank you for joining us for Sometimes Love Isn't Enough. If you resonated with what you heard here, please subscribe to this podcast and give us a review. You can also follow us on all the socials. Check the show notes for all the details about how to start tackling behaviors and creating a powerful, loving relationship with your child, a child who needs your love the most. And if your gut's telling you that it's time for a change now, book a free consult. I'd love to help you love unconditionally and show you that you have that power within you.